Jasmine stood at the airport window, watching planes glide across the horizon like silent promises. The glass reflected her face, strong, composed, but carrying years of quiet storms beneath the surface. She folded her arms, not out of cold, but out of habit, protection, preparation, resolve. "I'll be honest," she had said earlier, her voice steady despite the whirlwind inside her. "I'm happy my children are joining us in the United States, not as small kids, but as teenagers." It sounded simple when spoken aloud, clean, almost practical, but behind those words was a layered story, one stitched with sacrifice, distance, fear, growth, and a kind of love that had learned how to survive oceans. Years ago, Jasmine had faced a choice that didn't feel like a choice at all. It was the kind of decision that mothers make in silence, where every option hurts, and every path demands something precious in return. She chose to go ahead, to build something new, something stable, something that might one day be worthy of her children joining her. At the time, they were still small, too small, she thought, to understand instability, too fragile to be uprooted into uncertainty. She carried that belief like armor, even on nights when doubt slipped through the cracks. Back then, she would watch them sleep and memorize everything, the rhythm of their breathing, the softness of their hair, the way their hands curled slightly as if still holding on to dreams. She told herself she was protecting them by leading first, by preparing a life that wouldn't collapse under their feet. But distance has a way of reshaping truth. There were birthdays celebrated through screens, school achievements shared through messages that felt too short for the pride she felt. There were moments when she wondered if she had made a mistake, if protection had quietly become absence. Still, she stayed the course. Because Jasmine wasn't building just a home, she was building a future that could hold them. Now, years later, everything had shifted. Her children were no longer the little ones she had once tucked into bed. They had grown taller, sharper, more aware of the world and its complexities. They had developed opinions, resilience, independence. They had experienced life in ways that would shape how they saw her, how they understood her choices. And that was exactly why she felt relief. Teenagers don't need fairy tales. They don't need everything to be perfect. They can see cracks and still believe in something whole. Jasmine exhaled slowly as an announcement echoed through the airport. Her hands tightened slightly around her bag. Today wasn't just a reunion. It was a collision of timelines, past decisions meeting present reality. She wondered what they would see when they looked at her. Would they see the mother who left? Or the woman who fought to bring them back into her life with something real to offer? Maybe both. She smiled faintly at that thought. Teenagers, she realized, don't demand perfection, they demand honesty. And for the first time in years, she felt ready to give them that. "I was scared," she imagined herself saying. "I didn't have everything figured out. But I never stopped choosing you, even when it didn't look like it." She had spent so long fearing this moment, imagining questions she couldn't answer, emotions she couldn't control. But now, standing here, she felt something unexpected rising within her. Not fear. Clarity. If they had come as small children, they might have clung to her, dependent and unaware. They would have needed her to explain the world, to shield them from confusion, to smooth over every disruption. But teenagers? Teenagers arrive with their own stories. They bring strength, perspective, the ability to challenge and to understand. They might question her, they might struggle, they might even be angry at times. And somehow, Jasmine welcomed that. Because anger meant they cared, questions meant they were trying to understand, emotion meant the connection had never truly broken. She wasn't meeting strangers today. She was meeting her children, just older, more complex versions of the ones she had always loved. A memory surfaced suddenly. Her daughter, at age 6, insisting on tying her own shoes, refusing help, even when the knots became tangled messes. "I can do it," she had said, her tiny voice fierce with determination. Jasmine had smiled back then, watching her struggle but never stepping in too soon. That same spirit, she realized, had grown over the years. Her children didn't need a perfect mother now. They needed a real one. Another announcement echoed, her heart quickened. This was it. She moved closer to the arrival gate, her eyes scanning the crowd as passengers began to appear, faces blurred together, strangers reuniting, laughter breaking through the noise, tears spilling freely without shame. And then, there they were. For a moment, Time didn't move. They looked different. Of course they did, taller, more defined. Their expressions carried a mix of anticipation and uncertainty. They weren't running toward her like little kids. They stood still, observing, measuring, feeling. Jasmine's breath caught. This was the moment she had prepared for and feared. She didn't rush forward. Instead, she stepped closer, slowly, giving them space to meet her halfway. Her voice, when it came, was softer than she expected. Hi. It wasn't dramatic, it wasn't perfect. But it was real. There was a pause, brief, but heavy with everything unsaid. And then one of them smiled. Not wide, not overwhelming. But enough. Enough to crack open the distance between years. Enough to say, we're here. Jasmine felt something inside her loosen, a tension she had carried for far too long. I know it hasn't been easy, she said carefully, her words chosen with honesty rather than perfection, and I know I can't go back and change things, but I'm really, really happy you're here. Her voice trembled slightly, but she didn't hide it. Because this time, she wasn't trying to be invincible. She was trying to be present. Her children exchanged a glance, a silent conversation only they understood. And then, slowly, they stepped forward. The distance closed. The reunion wasn't explosive or cinematic. It was something quieter. Something deeper. It was the beginning of something new. As they embraced, Jasmine realized something she hadn't fully understood until now. She hadn't lost time with them. She had been building toward this moment. A moment where they could meet not just as mother and children, but as individuals capable of understanding each other. Later, as they walked out of the airport together, the world outside buzzing with unfamiliar energy, Jasmine glanced at them. They were taking it all in, the lights, the noise, the differences. Teenagers stepping into a new country, a new chapter. And she felt that quiet certainty again. If they had come earlier, she might have spent years trying to protect them from every difficulty. But now, they could face it together. Not shielded. Not separated. But side by side. I'll be honest, she said again, this time with a small smile, I think this is exactly the right time.